That's how she used to cook venison too. She used to can it. And it came out more tender and better, but yeah.
And sometimes she'd mix her canned beef with egg noodles. And
Yes.
eat that over potatoes. That was good.
I went to a restaurant, Linda and I went to the restaurant, a new one in town. And they had beef and noodles on the menu. So I ordered it. Worst damn stuff I ever ate. Dad's,
Profanity.
he was good at it. He would, but every once in a while he'd surprise somebody. Every once in a while he'd have a piece of machinery break down. Instead of him cussing, he'd say, "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear." Kind of unusual for Dad.
Yes.
Putt was strange. Putt always thought he was a little more righteous than most people, but he really wasn't. And his wife's name was Minnie. And Putt came over and wanted me to go to work for him. And so Dad said, "You can go to work for him if you want to." And so, hell, I was probably 14, maybe 15. And so he wanted me to go over and stay. And he said, "What do you want?" I said, "I get $5 a day." "Well," he said, "I can only afford $20 a week." I said, "Okay, I'll work for you for 4 days a week." And so Roy agreed. Uncle Mac, when he was young, worked for him. He said he's an old skinflint, and he'll do all sorts of things to get you to work harder. Of course, Uncle Mac wasn't the one that you did that with. But the story Uncle Mac had, they were picking up stone. They're east of the buildings where old Putt lived. And old Putt said, "All right, let's play a game here. I'm going to check my watch, and we're going to count the stones we can pick up in 5 minutes and see who can pick up the most." Well, of course, that was to speed up the amount of stones they're picking up. Well, Uncle Mac, you couldn't do that with him. He picked us up the same amount, and Roy won 3 or 4 times. He realized that he was speeding up, but Mac wasn't, so that went away. But a few days or a few weeks after I was working for old Putt, Dad would take me over Monday morning, drop me off on his way to work. And then Grandpa would take me to the movie on Thursday night, and I'd go home from there. That's what we did. Well, Roy.
Grandpa Grover would pick you up. Grandpa Grover would pick you up.
Yeah. And so I'd worked there a few weeks, and old Roy said, "You know, Jim, if you would reduce your wages to $4 a day, I'd keep you 5 days a week, and your dad wouldn't have to feed you." And I said, "My dad's never complained about feeding me." And so, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, then the next ploy was we were putting a roof on a chicken house, and it was hot. So we'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning before the sun got hot and put the roof on, and then take the heat of the day off. Well, the heat of the day never came along. And so all that was to get some more work out of me. So that's what old Putt was. So old Putt was up on that roof, and his knee went out. And old Putt was kind of a chubby guy, not very tall, but, And so he said, well, Jimmy, you got to get me off this roof. My first thought was just push him off. But so I said, well, get me over at the ladder. So I got him over at the ladder, rolled him over onto that damn ladder on his back. That's how he wanted to be. I let loose of him and he slid down that. He went down that damn ladder, chop, 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 handed on his butt right at the bottom. So I climbed down, got him up, and then he took him into the doctor. And the next thing we got, we were fixing fence half mile back, right across the road from the Decker farm.
Oh.
He had a few cattle. It was, mosquitoes were terrible. It was hot. And it was obvious it was going to rain. But old Putt, we stayed right back there. We had his little tractor. He had an L John Deere, which was the smallest John Deere tractor ever made. And he had this whole trailer that on the back of it that just had a pin in it. A bolt dropped through the tongue. And so started raining, pouring. And old Putt plunked his butt on the back of that old trailer and said, take her at the barn, Jim, just fast she'll go. So raining like hell, and I'm going down the lane and out through the barnyard, into the tool shed, look back and there wasn't any trailer. Still raining like hell. So I turned around and went back. About halfway down the lane, here's old Putt sitting on the back of that trailer in the goddamn rain, just sitting there. And so I put the pin back in, and he's soaked. And so I drive up to the house, and so he found something for us to do in the barn that day for the rest of the day. But that was our trip back fixing fence. And then the next thing that happened was he decided he wasn't going to have me go to the movie because being a Baptist, he didn't believe in movies. And so happened to be the night that Grandpa was doing something. And so he said to Bud, go over and pick up Jimmy. And so Bud drove over, and we were out by the barn shelling corn for the chicken. And old Roy said to Bud, well, Jimmy hasn't finished here yet. And so Bud got in the car, went back to Grandpa's house. He hadn't anymore and showed up at Grandpa's house. And I saw the old Dodge coming down the road and the dust was just rolling. Grandpa drove right up to the old man. He got out. He said, Roy, God damn you, don't you say one word. Jimmy, get in the car. We're going to the movie. You just keep your mouth shut. Grandpa got back in the car. He said, that old son of a bitch isn't going to do that to you. And the next day, or the next Monday when I went in, he said, well, gee, Everett acted like he was angry. And he said, he thought maybe I didn't want you to go to the movie. I didn't say a word.